What is up, everybody? Welcome into episode 69 of the Brahma Bullpen. And it's not a winning Monday, but we're still happy the season's here. We're still happy we're playing ball. The Brahmas definitely have things to work on. We're going to talk about that tonight. Producer?
It was a good opening weekend in some aspects. There were some good games, good moments. Not so much for the Brahmas, but we'll get into that. But we're glad to be here. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit of the power rankings. We're going to show you the UFM power rankings on here. We're going to definitely bring you highlights and lowlights from the game. We'll have videos all stitched in here. We're going to end by previewing the St. Louis Battle Ticket game, where the Brahmas will be going up to St. Louis, what we like to call Cal Pasture North, hopefully. And we just got tons of stuff in here, so we're going to get right into it with our power rankings. Now, as we talked to you before, I know if y'all watch the bullpen the past few years, these are rankings from everybody who's part of United Football Media. We do this vote, put it all together, and without further ado, we are going to pop it up. My mouse is not working for some reason. Here we go. Power rankings. All right. So week one, power rankings is post-game. So Arlington took a huge jump forward to number one in the league because of how impressive they looked beating our San Antonio Brahmas. And make no doubt about it, it hurts me to say it, but we didn't lose that game. We got beat, right?
Yeah, definitely. We got beat.
It happens, though. It happens. DC jumps to number two. They beat the Birmingham Stallions. Look where the Stallions dropped from number one down to 5 for losing one game to DC. And you know what? It wasn't even that clean of a game. So I kind of question these rankings. I did not put DC at number 2 in my personal rankings, but because it's a cumulative score, they got that number 2. They still got to show me something. That offense looked bad in the first half. And was it DC being really good, or was it Alex Magoo wasn't ready to play ball? What do you think?
Oh man, I don't know if they're number 2. I think that maybe the Stallions, St. Louis could be at that number 2 spot. But DC, yeah, they look shaky to start.
Yeah, St. Louis right there at 3. You can see somebody inside our group voted them number 1. I will tell you that there might be a little you call it like that game was on Friday night. Maybe not as many people tuned in to watch it. By the way, we're going to show TV ratings for one of the games and also attendance numbers. So we're going to talk about that too and give our thoughts on that. So maybe because it was Friday, not as many people saw, but it was a very impressive win against Houston Roughnecks. And the Houston Roughnecks, I bought into the hype from VP Ace. I blame you, Ace. I picked Houston and it didn't do great for me at all. And they look like they were as a disheveled mess as they were last year, right?
I think Houston was what I expected them to be. It didn't matter to me. That's what I kind of expected out of them.
Michigan Panthers up to number 4 in our rankings. I think that's probably right where they should be. We'll see which quarterback decide to go out the rest of the year, but their defense looked good. Sims performed. Colburn looked great. Running backs looked good. I mean, Michigan probably had one of the more complete games other than Arlington. Arlington had the best game out of everybody, I think, offense, defense. Yeah. But Michigan was just right there. St. Louis had a great game also. I'm not trying to take anything from them. But I do like how all the rankings have the 4 winning teams on top and the 4 losing teams on bottom. Probably the only thing that I would say about the Brahmas is I don't think Memphis showed me enough to be ranked higher than the Brahmas. I voted Brahmas at number 6 personally, but Memphis was fairly more competitive in their game, but they weren't playing Arlington. You know what I'm saying? But those are our power rankings. Anything on that before we move on?
No, I think it's a pretty good list there.
All right, these are the scores from the past weekend. As you can see, St. Louis 31-6 over Houston, dominant win. Brahmas 9-3 falling to Arlington. Arlington played lights out. The Panthers showboat game was a little bit closer, 26-12. And the most competitive game of the weekend, Birmingham being upset in D.C. D.C. was home. Audi Field also led the weekend attendance, so it was probably the loudest place to play. Definitely the biggest upset. The way I described it to my wife when we were like talking about it, whatever, I said this is like a ranked top 10 college football team losing to an unranked team. I think DC, that's the level of upset here. What do you think?
I would agree. Maybe a little closer than maybe college, but I would say that for the Stallions to go in and lose with as much hype as they've had going into the season, the expectations are so high. Definitely, for them to go down by a full score, full 7 points, that's pretty big disappointment.
Yeah. So are we thinking? Are we thinking that the Panthers are going to be the team to beat in the USFL after week 1?
I'd still put my money on the Stallions.
I mean, it's definitely not Houston, right? It's definitely not the Showboats.
Yeah.
So right now, you would still think the Stallions are favored to win the division.
Be patient with them. Let them figure things out. They've proven they've got a proven track record.
Yeah. On the XFL conference side, no doubt, right now, Arlington and St. Louis look to be the two teams that have the, they're the front runners right now. Brahmas are going to have to do something to get back into that talk, which I think they will. Don't get me wrong. The season's by far not over. It's one game. Yeah. All right. But definitely the Renegades and St. Louis look a significant level better than the Brahmas.
I would say overall, as you look at those games, the XFL conference just looks so great. You think about what St. Louis did. Of course, there was high expectations for the Brahmas. Unfortunately, they're not looking that great. But on the other side of things,
one game.
One game. But DC really showed up. You got Arlington doing what they did. They impressed everybody. So that XFL conference, as it goes through the year, could prove to be very, very strong.
If I didn't mention at the beginning, we are here at Cow Pasture Studios on behalf of United Football Media. This is the Brahma Bullpen, where we do focus on Brahma news and Brahma games. We got tons of highlights coming for that. But while we're talking UFL news, we're talking win and loss, we're talking power rankings, I got one of the most discouraging stats I've ever seen in my life. So these are the attendance numbers for the game. So the first game in Houston, Friday night, 7,124. The next game on Saturday with the Brahmas, 10,114 in Arlington. We were 2. If we wouldn't have been there, it would have been 10,112. So, but third game, I don't know what was going on in Memphis, but 4,373 people is absolutely ridiculous to have that in the stadium. I mean, $20, people. $20 to go to the game. And then we ended the season with a great showing out of the DC fan base. On TV, it didn't look very packed. The Beer Snake area kind of looked less crowded. But they still hit that 12,254 people there on the attendance, led the weekend for attendance. And you see other numbers I got here. But before I get into those math, producer, you got anything you want to add on attendance talk?
Oh, man. For the price you can get into a game, we've had the discussion about how great of a value it is to.
What's that price again?
For average ticket price, $35. Sir.
Oh, okay, $35.
$35.
Do they have $20 tickets?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they do have.
Yeah,
20? Okay.
absolutely.
Nice.
You can get in a game very cheap for the value you get to get into one of these games. The level of football you're seeing, there's no reason. I know there's more football fans in these cities than what are showing up for these games. No reason these attendance numbers should be this low. Even with discouraging news that we hear sometimes, negative things that may, bring us down about the league or whatever it may be, we should still have significantly more attendance than what we saw, especially for opening weekend.
You better be careful throwing rocks at Glass House because you don't know what our attendance is going to be. So you just better calm down.
That's true. I'm not saying ours is going to be better. I'm just saying throughout the league.
You're saying ours is
all cities.
You're saying ours is not going to be good? What are you trying to say here?
I think all cities should do better than what we've seen so far. That's what I'm trying to say.
We got quick math here, just average attendance. I went to Gronk on X. Everybody's used X. We went to Gronk. Got average ticket prices and attendance. So total attendance for 4 games for the whole league, 33,865 tickets sold. That's about 8,400 a game. Terrible. But if you look at the average price versus total attendance, the league generated $1,185,000 just on ticket sales. Okay, I'm going to tell you to go rent out an event center for 100 people and tell me what you pay for one night to do that. Okay, it's in the thousands, no matter where you're at. Think about what it costs to rent out a football stadium with security, with staff, with electric, with every. I guarantee you, it's six figures. I guarantee you. So probably a quarter to a half of that $1 million went to someone else's pocket. So if you're doing math and want to know if the league's making money, it don't take much. You want to compare it to non-comparable entities. Okay, the Cowboys by themselves, you can see the numbers there. 93,000+ per game, 399. There's Cowboys tickets where you got to pay like $5,000 just in like licensing fee, and then pay the $400. So these numbers are not even nowhere near accurate. This is just quick math to kind of prove a point. One game, average price, $37 million. You go to A&M in Texas, the biggest football stadium in the great state of Texas, by the way. But 97,000+ at the game, $255. I can tell you that's a pretty spot on average ticket price to get in there for any random game. 24 million, almost 25 million bucks there. Look, there's a difference, folks, and I'm not saying it's good and I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying numbers don't lie.
Yeah. When you look at the price that that average of what we're generating per week, that 1.1 million, think about that. In the AT&T Stadium for the Cowboys, I remember hearing a figure that to just run that video board that they have in the middle of that stadium, I believe was a couple of $1 million every game.
To run it?
To run it, yeah. Wow. Electricity. It was at least $1 million. I don't remember the exact figure, but it was up there. It was at least $1 million. So you're saying that the league is making per game what potentially less than what it costs to run the video board in AT&T Stadium for an NFL game. So, then you have all the other expenses. Now, not every stadium doesn't have that big of a video board, but they do have video boards. It still costs money to run those things.
Yeah. So what we're saying is here, folks, we need attendance. This has nothing to do with anything else that's gone on in the offseason. We talked about attendance, and we tracked the attendance for every game on every episode of this bullpen last year. I've been complaining about attendance, butts in seats. That's been my thing, butts in seats. If you watch any of my episodes, I said butts in seats. I'm still saying butts in seats. We need butts in seats. And I'm going to tell you another thing. Sometimes when I say that, I get these random ex-people that think they know so much about everything, and they start flapping their gums and saying, this is a made-for-TV product. Made-for-TV product. We don't need butts. Well, let me tell you something else. We do need TV viewership as well. First ratings of the season. This is from the Friday night game. Sorry, I don't have the graphic. This came out right before we started recording. But Friday night game, 690,000 viewers was the average. Okay, to put that in context, opening game last year for this same league, 1.18 million. Second game, 1.3 million. Okay, so there's been a significant drop in viewership, and some, the average attendance is probably about the same. I'm gonna tell you, 4,300 in Memphis is ridiculous. I don't know. I was a huge supporter of Memphis getting a team because I think it should focus on non-NFL cities that have a million plus people in the metro.
Show up, Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Memphis. I'm calling you out. Yeah. I'm calling you out. There's nowhere else to say about that. But that's enough league news. Let's get into some Brahma news. You good with that?
Yeah, let's go.
Butts in seats. All right, we're going to get into the Brahma news, and we're going to talk stats. We're going to have highlights from the game. But before we go, there was a crazy thing that happened. Jared Garantano, who was one of our 3 QBs on the roster, I thought he was going to be QB2. He actually didn't show up to the game or wasn't on the sideline or nothing. So we have literally during the game, this was being broke that the Brahmas signed Mike Honesty Jr., put him on the inactive list. He was like an emergency use QB. The guy probably didn't even have a jersey or shoulder pads up there. But they did definitely put him on there. He's Northwest Bearcat had a 24-4 record as a starter, almost a 68.9, almost 70% completion percentage, 79 total TDs in college with over 7,000 yards. Those are very impressive numbers. And he wasn't on the camp. He was on camp a little bit there in Dallas. So I'm going to just pop up a video here. There's no sound on this video, just so you can kind of see him playing quarterback there. And while this is playing, I just want to talk about, I want to ask you, producer, what are your thoughts about not only the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the defensive coordinator being up in the booth with none of them on the sideline during the game this past Saturday?
I don't know the reasons for that.
I didn't ask you the reasons. I asked what you thought about them all being up in there.
What I thought about it? Well, I think it would be important to know the reasons why, but I'm not really sure. I feel.
Let me stop you right there. The reason is AJ was up there to see the field. I'm pretty sure that's why the defensive coordinator was up there, so he could see the field. Coach Phil's probably up there because he's old. He's been around for a long time. He probably doesn't be standing on the sidelines. Now that all that's cleared up, what do you think about them not being on the sideline? All three of them.
All three of them. I would prefer the coaches be on the sideline. I think that leadership needs to be there. I think that, in my opinion, it showed up that there was a lack of discipline, perhaps, on the Brahmas side. Mm-hmm. Now, how much was that due to the coaches not being there? I have no idea. But I can say that I definitely think that that there needed to be more leadership on the side based on the field product and the results we got.
Yeah, you definitely need. Of course, all the position coaches were down there, and they kind of work with their guys anyways. Wade Phillips has made no bones about it. He lets position coaches coach their players. He lets them decide who's starting and all that good stuff. A lot of teams, college and pros, have coordinators up in the booth. There's an advantage to being able to see the field. Also with the headsets in our game where you can talk to them, I think up until like 10 or 15 seconds before the play clock runs out, for the coaches to be up high and call out positions and tell them where the defense is. I get all that. But I think at least one of those three main guys. Yeah. You got your head coach, you got your offensive coordinator, you got the defensive coordinator. Those are basically your three CEOs. I think one of them should be on the sideline just for appearance sakes. It's like at school or at work when the boss isn't there. You know, the boss isn't there. People, hey, dude, the boss ain't here. I'm going to take it easy. It's a Friday. The boss ain't here. I know this is different. These players are motivated. They want to win. I'm just saying, humanity is humanity, man. And sometimes there's a tendency when the cat's away, the mice will play.
I will say that if it was to the advantage of a team for the coaches, three main coaches to be in the booth every game, that you would see that more often.
That's a good point.
However, we don't see that. We see coaches on the sideline. There's a reason for that. And when that's not there, when that's missing, we potentially see the negative effects of that.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on. So we got an updated roster here. These are the depth charts based upon last week's game, signed players. So you can see I got Mike Honesty up there. It's been on the screen there for a minute. Hope you got a chance to look at it. If not, pause it and read it. But these 1 and 2s and 3s are based upon who played and where they played last week. So nothing crazy. Jacob Harris, we'll go over some stats too, but he was definitely our best wideout on the team this past weekend. So I'm going to just pick out a couple of stats here that I thought were pretty important. These are team stats from the game. First downs, 13 to 22. You always want to win that, right? And then we'll go down to third down conversion. We were talking about it earlier. Brahmas were 2 for 11 on third down, whereas Arlington was 8 of 12. That's a pretty big deal right there. Any stats you got off the top of your head you want to talk about?
I was looking at that third down conversion also, fourth down as well. The attempts they tried it, they were 50% on fourth down. Mm-hmm. But those stood out to me. I would just say that also, as far as
Arlington was 100% on fourth down, 1 for 1.
Yeah, they were. Those things matter. Of course, with completion percentage, with our quarterback play, rushing yard attempts per rush, all those things were down lower than we want to see them. And unfortunately, we just didn't have a very productive offensive game.
Yeah. We'll dig more in the offense here a little bit with these stats from the game. So those basically are rushing, receiving stats. So we had all 3 running backs get in the game. They all got at least 3 rushes each. Kellen Mond got 3 rushes each, 112 yards total rushing. 4 different rushers to get a total of 112 yards. That just points to the fact that I don't think we forgot to call a run. We called 20 run plays. I just think that the defense was able to stop our run. So, average 5.3 yards per rush. The longest rush of the game was 31 yards by Anthony McFarland. We'll show you that stat here a little bit. And of course, we got that run rushing touchdown by Lovett. Passing yards from Mon, this has got to get better. It's his first game. I'm not worried about him having nerves. He played in a lot of big games. When I was at the game, I only saw 2, maybe 3 balls that I felt were like misses. I think some of those incompletions, he was purposely throwing it out of bounds to be safe. One thing about Kellen Mond is he takes care of the ball. He takes care of the ball. He does not throw a lot of picks. We've had some quarterbacks here in the past that have done that. So he's going to throw that ball high and out of bounds. And if you're not able to look at the coverage and know that he's avoiding throwing an INT, you might just be like, oh, it's a bad pass. Incompletions are not always bad passes. But he got sacked twice. That's kind of his MO. He has been known to kind of hold on to the ball, but realistically, O-line's got to give him time to throw the ball. So I know at least one of those sacks, man, it's like no one even picked up the free rusher. We had our center and left guard blocking the same guy, and the linebackers just went right up in there and got to killing. But 17-31, regardless of why we're at 17-31, that needs to be better, right?
Yeah, I agree. Really need to pick it up on offense. Of course, I think much of this can be due to line play, but hopefully in all these areas we make some drastic improvements.
Yeah. Going down to the receiving yards, you see Jacob Harris led us in yards in 63. That's actually not a bad stat line. You'd like to see a touchdown in there somewhere, but we only scored the 1 rushing touchdown. But that's not going to stay. We're going to get some passing TDs. One of the things that I kind of felt, myself watching the game, it almost felt like the defense knew the route the receivers were going to run before the receivers knew the routes they were going to run. And what I mean by that is it's like the defense, the cornerback and safeties know that if they shade this way or shade that way or stand like this or line up like this, they know what the check to that route's going to be, right? So if a cornerback's lined up and he's kind of got his legs open to the inside and the receiver's like, okay, cornerback's off balance, I'm going to go to the boundary, I'm going to go to the, to the out of bounds line, and they know that, and so they're like baiting our receivers to run the route they want the receivers to run. I don't know if that's true, but that's just the way it felt to me. You got anything on passing?
Well, they dictated where we threw the ball. They had control of the game, and so I noticed that as well. Of course, I'll get a little bit more into this when we look at maybe our preview. But there's a couple of players that I would like to see more involved with the offense that perhaps weren't as involved as they should have been. If we had controlled the game more. Yeah.
With all that being said, you can't run the ball. You either pass the ball to set up the run or you run the ball to set up the pass. You try to stay 50-50. If you struggle doing either one of them and you have to lean one way or another, you get into the fourth quarter and you're down multiple scores, everyone knows you're throwing the ball, so the rushing stats might be a little skewed because we were playing from behind. And that kind of run leads to the other thing that we're going to talk about here in a little bit is defense. But before we get into defense, kind of leading about defense, is this one of the craziest stat lines you ever seen in your life? Devion Smith came in the game, got 3 touches for 3 yards with 3 touchdowns.
All that shows you really when you look at that stat is he's great on the goal line. I'll put it that way. But the fact is they knew that they could lean heavily on the run when they were right there. They knew they could punch it in. And once again, that goes to the effectiveness of the line, that they controlled the line of scrimmage. So that's what I see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want you to pull the stats up again, passing yards. Perez was 20 for 26, right?
Yeah.
Look at the rushing yards, 183. Okay? I mean, you're giving up a whole bunch of yards rushing, and then Perez didn't have a whole bunch of yards passing. He had 164 yards, but 6 incompletions. One of those was a pick. We'll show you that highlight later, but they were just on it.
Yeah.
Let's get into some highlights from the game. You ready to get into some highlights?
Let's roll them.
All right. First things first, when you lose by as many points as we did, you don't have a whole lot of highlights. But I do want to show you a crazy special teams highlight.
Dropped him back 17 yards, so Brad Wing has plenty of yards. He's got plenty of leg as well. Booming kick by Wing. Rolls out of bounds at the 13-yard line. What a punt by Wing. 69 yards.
69 yards. This is bullpen episode 69. Coincidence? I think not. But what a punt, right? Kind of flipped the field there. Pretty good punt, man. What do you think about that?
It was early in the game. The score was still 0-0. I think if it would have been a much shorter field, of course that score could have run away from us much sooner. I'm thankful we got somebody to kick that good.
Yeah. So we'll get in some more highlights. Y'all know we were very excited when Anthony McFarland re-signed with the Brahmas, and here's why.
And they hand it off to McFarland, and there you go. Wade Phillips called him lightning in a bottle, and he shows you why on back-to-back plays. The reception with the moves and then a 31-yard run.
That guy is the scattiest scat, man, that has ever scatted. I'm just saying, dude, love that guy. We got more McFarland highlights coming up later. This highlight, I did something a little different. I do have some clips from the press conference, post-game press conference. Coach Wade Phillips, Kellen Mond, and Corey Mayfield were there answering questions. And one of the questions they asked, Corey Mayfield had a brilliant interception at this game. And he was asked, what do you think about the interception? So he's going to answer the question on his thoughts on the interception. And then immediately after, you're going to get to see that interception. So here we go.
For Corey, coming up with the interception today, what did it mean to you to be able to have that moment? What did you see on that play?
They did a lot of tight end overs with him in the core. So we just made a little adjustment and kept me in the hook. And I was just able to see him come over. It was a good play call by our defensive coordinator, Josh Jones. And I just executed it. It felt good to get the first pick, but a win would have been great.
On first down, they fake the handoff. Perez over the middle, intercepted. Threw it right into the hands of Corey Mayfield.
Yeah, awesome. And I do like what he said there. He said, hey, we saw it. We made adjustments. They knew Perez was looking for Canella. We all know that those two guys hook up all the time. Made the adjustment on the field. So what a great play. That interception led to a historical field goal. So we're going to play that right now. The first ever professional field goal from the most followed man on social media in the UFL, destroying, and here it is. We got it here for you, right here on the Brahma bullpen from the cow pasture.
So it backs him up a little bit more. His first field goal attempt since high school, but he's all over social media. Destroying. And he gets the field goal from 39 yards out.
He made it.
Making his first kick since high school.
It was close.
He made it. But good for him. Yeah. He did miss one later. We're not going to talk about that one. Yeah. But finally good to see him kick a field goal, right?
Yeah, it was great to see him at the game. It's always exciting to see him on the field. He was, I'll say before the game started, he was really involved with some of the fans. Great guy. So nice to see him get that kick and succeed at it. It was definitely one of the highlights, a few highlights that we had of that game.
Yeah, he definitely had time for the fans. We also went Instagram live on that. If you follow us on IG and we get the opportunity to be on the field, we were all on the field in Arlington. I got to talk to my boy Coach Acuff. If you remember, he was on the episode, so that was an awesome conversation. But yeah, we got to live stream some destroying. We did some destroying warm-up kicks, and then while he was there with the fans, what a great guy just interacting with the fans. We're going to get into what some of our problems were now. Before we go on to the defense, I'm going to just play this clip. So we talked about all three of our running backs touch the ball. But, The McFarland run, that was the biggest run of the day for us. And the rest of them were just struggles. Watch this. Watch these clips right here.
You know, but he's a Wolverine. You gotta get that Wolverine in the end zone.
That's not right. Sharing the wealth. That's what they're doing. Season. David struggled.
Hard to watch.
Ran
Corbin
into
spinning his way out to mid.
I don't know if it's, obviously the holes are filling up. The holes are filling up, man. You got to do better. You got to open up them holes. But, it wasn't all negative. We did score a touchdown. Let's watch that now.
They hand it off. John Lovett gets the first down and more. In fact, he gets the touchdown.
We needed about 10 more of those at least, right?
Definitely more than we got. That's for sure.
So that's a little bit of our offensive stuff. Now we're going to pull up some defensive stuff. Pull up some defensive stats. We'll just talk about it right here. Producer, any of these stats stand out to you?
I think obviously the biggest one, Jordan Williams, of course, at the top. His effectiveness, let's see. Mayfield, of course, with his interception, that was big. That stood out. That was our only interception of the game. We could have used a little bit more of that on defense, but at least we got the one.
Yeah. I'll tell you from me looking at it, first thing I see, Jordan Williams up there, double digits in tackles, 8 solo, 2 assists. Jordan Williams doing Jordan Williams things. Last year we had 2 of the top 3 tacklers in the league. Devontae Beckett, he's a little bit further down on the list. If you look down, 3 total tackles. They were 3 solo tackles. So that was pretty awesome. It just, we'd like to see 6 or 7 more tackles. I even one time looked over at producer during the game. I said, man, where's Beckett? Is he hurt? So I'm there watching. He was out on the sideline. I think they were trying to give him some of the new linebackers some reps and things like that. I will tell you, go to the fourth column there, or fifth. Well, first the fourth column. You see sacks and sack yards? Goose eggs all the way down, right? To me, that's an issue. We're a pressure defense. We got to get pressure. Talking about pressure, look the next line over. Tackles for loss, 1 for Williams, 1 for Phelps. Total, 5 yards. We only negatively impacted their plays twice and for 5 yards.
And so when you're looking at these stats and you're asking what stands out to you, you're exactly right. A lot of zeros there. Yeah, the game was difficult. It was a difficult game to watch. Our defense struggled. Arlington did almost anything they wanted to do, and that's reflected in what we see here. So it's hard to pick positives out, but hopefully this improves.
Yeah. And I guess what we're saying is it's not just the offense's fault. It's not just the defense's fault. And it's not just the coach's fault. This is a team issue that they need to get on the same page, get motivated, and go forward. I'll tell you, the difference between winning and losing oftentimes comes down to just motivation and want to. I feel like Arlington wanting to beat us because we beat them twice last year, and one of the times it was right at the last second. And I'll just tell you, I feel like they wanted to win. And I'm going to show you a play right now to prove to you how bad Arlington wanted to win this game because something crazy happened. Watch this.
Daytona through.
Perez brings it down. He runs, not the most fleet of foot, but he does enough to get the first down.
Man.
3rd and 12, slowest quarterback in the league. A chance to maybe stop them and get the ball back with 3 minutes to go and try to get a score of some kind going into halftime, which would have been a huge momentum shift. I will tell you that Perez definitely looked leaner. I saw him, right? He's definitely lost some weight during this offseason, so he's been putting into work, so kudos for him. But realistically, a defense like ours that's as athletic and as quick as ours, I mean, that shouldn't be happening, right?
Yeah, well, I don't think that the Brahmas were anticipating him to take off and run. He's not known for his running skills, but the fact that he was able to take off and get that far, get that first down, I mean...
obviously the plan wasn't for him to run. The play broke down. That was a coverage deal, but he was able to break contain and get out of there. So nobody was planning for him to run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that still, even without the anticipation of it, for him to get that far, I mean, you got Perez running on you. You got problems.
Yeah. So let's do this. We're going to pop up another couple plays, kind of show you the highlight, some of the things that we need to clean up on defense. So watch this.
Terrible. The little end around. Peyton. And Javonte Peyton down inside the 20. And another first down for Arlington. And another double digit.
Yeah. And then, you know, there's runs like this. I will tell you that a man this big should not be this fast. And the broadcast crew pointed it out a couple times. But watch this run by Balazs.
NIL, man, they're getting a lot of money. They might have to break me off a little bit, but I'm proud of them. I'm happy for them.
I am. Break them off. Speaking of breaking, Kalen Balazs breaking tackles and going all the way to the end zone for the touchdown.
Tackling is a basic fundamental that is taught within football, and the fact is that we failed pretty bad.
I'm not being a hater. I like the shoulder pad, put it into him type hits. But when you're the fifth person that's had the opportunity to tackle this running back, you know, the first guy go for the big hit, you know, dislodge the ball, whatever, gain tackle to the ball, okay? But the other four guys that come later, one of those four guys just has to. You know, and I get it, it's fast, it's motion, you don't know what's going to happen. But that's fundamentals 101. And I know heat of the moment and all that stuff. And it wasn't just Balazs, right? So he saw Pat, he saw Balazs, now watch this play. Oh, wait, sorry, that's a whole nother game. Anything else before we get into previewing the next week's game? I do have the press conference here so we can hear what the coach thinks about it.
Yeah, let's go to the press conference.
All right, let's hear what the coaches think about the games real quick. I didn't know it was the next one.
Wasn't what we wanted. I thought they obviously played really well. You know, they got good coaching and good players, and we knew that was going to happen. But we made too many mistakes. That starts with me. So we got to do things better than we did in this ball game. But it's one game, you know, and you know they're 1-0 and we're 0-1. But we're not going to let us get us down. We're going to keep working hard, and I think this team has a lot of heart, and I think we'll come back from this game. It was a tough game for us overall, and a lot of credit goes.
Guys do really good things, and then one guy makes a small mistake, and then it kind of costs everything. So, you know, it's the same way on defense and offense, and I think, you know, especially on the first drive, I think we go 3 and out. Following drive, I think on the same drive, miss a throw. We miss detail on a route. We go too deep. Another route, and, you know, we had some drops, missed throws. So just didn't play clean as an offense. And, you know, we definitely got to clean it up. But sometimes it takes being humbled to clean those details up. And, you know, we got to come back stronger because we got another good team on the road next week.
You know, I think it's going to take, unfortunately, it's going to take us a little time to get all our guys on the same page and, you know, realizing, you know, everybody doing their own job and so forth. So it just takes perseverance. We got to keep working on what we're doing. You know, we'll learn from our mistakes, and we'll learn these guys are, you know, we're all unhappy, obviously, but I know these guys, they're hard workers. And, you know, hard work pays off in the end. And I think these guys are going to come back from this and bounce back. So we lost the game, but we didn't lose the season. We just lost one game.
I'll tell you, I like Wade Phillips acknowledging that he's feeling the same as the fans and everyone else, the rest of the team. He knows all the team wants to win too. These guys are competitors. I like Kellen Mond taking responsibility. Talked about, you know, a couple of bad throws. I also noticed, you know, they've only had 14 or 15 practices, so they're still trying to get to know each other and get that rhythm. And then we already heard Corey Mayfield's comments earlier on his INT. Yeah. He liked getting the INT, but he wants to win.
Yeah, Phillips is a player's coach. He's going to skew this as positive in a press conference and kind of be general about it and be easy on his players. I really do hope that behind the scenes in the locker room, Coach Phillips and the rest of the coaching staff puts a fire in these guys and really gets them ready for game 2. I have faith that they will. I think that's going to happen. Mon used the word humbling, definitely. That game was absolutely humbling. I hope those guys use it as motivation in the right way. Don't get discouraged about it. It's one game. Let's get a lot of fire. Let's go into game 2 strong.
Speaking of game 2, producer, what you got to think of? What you think about game 2?
I'm looking forward to it. I have some optimism for game 2, but let's look into it. Let's see what we got for game 2. We got some game footage here. We want to look at St. Louis and kind of see what they did and how they did in the categories as far as offense and defense, so we know what we have to expect from them. So first of all, let's take a look. This is Parsons.
And he got it! Oh. 3rd and 18, they pick up 19.
19-yard run?
Last time they were 3rd and 18, they converted.
Was supposed to be it.
This one out to Pearson. Makes a move,
here we go.
and they convert again with more. Pearson into Houston territory, and once again, a huge chunk play, but...
So you see the dominance of the line there. Pearson getting a big run, so we see what they're capable of. But he wasn't the only one involved in the running game. Now, he was a big part of it. But let's take a look at another player. We've got, Sayers here. Take a look at one of his runs as well.
Okay. I will tell you.
Oh.
Pearson's going to be a problem for a lot of people all year. We highlighted him a couple of weeks ago. Remember in Seattle when he was the XFL's leading receiver? He's going to be a problem. And he's probably, if he would have been healthy all year last year, I do think that the Battlehawks would have beat the Brahmas and went to the championship game. But let's look at this other play. Sayers.
On 3rd downs in the first half. A handoff. Sailors make it 6 of 9 in the game and more.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Rough run. So they had multiple running backs that were able to get out for big runs and be successful. A lot of that was due to their offensive line, but we could see how well they did. Between the two of them, you've got 83 yards for Pearson. Sayers had 47 yards there running, and so they were very successful. Parson averaged 13.8 yards per run. So that's kind of what we have to look forward to in regards to their running game. What do you think?
Yeah, you got the total yards there for the team?
So total yards, let's see. You know what?
So it should be right there, 273?
273, and I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong category. Sayers was 93.
Okay,
Or
almost 100 yards. So 273 yards total. Who
Yeah.
had 115?
It was Howard.
Oh, nice. So they had a 100-yard rusher.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, man. Look, this is not the NFL. A 100-yard rusher is more. A 100-yard rusher in the UFL is like a 150-yard rusher in the NFL. And passing yards, 225 is the same as passing for 300 in the NFL. The games are a lot quicker. The clock goes a lot quicker. So when we're talking stats, the stats are a little bit down. But 115 yards for one player and 273 on the ground, 273 on the ground
between 5 different rushers.
Yeah,
and that rushing as well accounted for 4 touchdowns.
You want to show them one of the other highlights of a rusher?
Go for it.
Empty backfield. Wilkins pulls it down, makes a move, and still fights. Stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Let's see where they mark this. Leon O'Neal.
I mean, it's not just the running backs that you got to worry about, right? It's not just Pearson's coming around either. You got Wilkins. He's got wheels, man.
The reason, and I feel it's important to show that, is because if Arlington is able to run on us with Perez, Wilkins, who is a much more mobile quarterback, what kind of threat does he present? What may he be able to do to our defense? So we really got to watch out for him. Hopefully, maybe they drop a spy on him.
Yeah. Got to do something. The boys better be ready because that Wilkins got some wheels on him, and he did a good job throwing. You got his passing yards there by chance pulled up?
Let's see here. Passing yards. Let's see. Yes, so he got 198 yards, 17 of 22. So he was very effective in the passing game.
Yeah. So he's doing a little bit of both.
Yeah,
he's good. I think they replaced Crybaby McCarron, right?
I think so. Yeah, we don't have to worry about tears. We haven't heard any yet.
Yeah,
but
just mine. No, kidding.
Hopefully not next week too. So,
well, with that, we just went through Brahma's lowlights, Brahma's highlights, St. Louis highlights, talked a little league information. Now we're going to end this episode by doing our win-loss predictions. And here they come, all in one nice graphic. So bullpen, my predictions are the white and black. Producer's prediction got the black W with the yellow. So game 1, Friday night, we both went with the Stallions. Even though they lost, nobody gave love to. We didn't give no love to Michigan. We're still thinking the Stallions are just going to win this thing.
I think it's going to be a close game, but Birmingham, that was an upset. We talked about it. I think they're going to come back for a vengeance, man. I think they're going to take that game.
This was a hard pick for me because Birmingham traveled to D.C. got beat. Now Birmingham's going to travel to Michigan. I could very easily see them losing this game. But my brain won't allow me to pick the 3-time repeat champs to start the season 0-2 because if they do, they will burn the stadium down in Birmingham.
Yeah, if I had to pick one game that I believe would be a lock, I'm going to tell you I think it's Birmingham wins this week.
This is not a lock, dude. Michigan can beat these guys.
They could, but I really, really do believe Birmingham. I feel very confident in Birmingham this week.
DC with a favorable schedule. I'm not throwing out any conspiracy theories, but favorable schedule. 2 home games right off the rip. Memphis coming to town. We both took DC. I just think that DC's defense is going to be better than Memphis's offense. And I think Ta'amu, if he didn't find a way to lose the game for them against Birmingham, he's not going to find a way to lose the game for them against Memphis. Even though he didn't look crispy clean, I think the offense is geared to the point like it was a couple of years ago where Ta'amu would really have to do a lot of work to lose this game. So that's why I went with DC.
I agree with that. I'm going DC. We saw what they did to Birmingham. One of the areas that they really needed help in, the running game, they were more effective, helped them against Birmingham. I think they're going to be against a weaker opponent in Memphis. I don't see the loss there.
Yeah. Houston, Arlington, this will be the quickest game. You guys watch the games. Houston, train wreck. CJ Johnson had another coach coaching CJ on the sideline. If you guys go follow at United Football Media on X, you'll see the post. Literally has some other I don't even know the coach's name, basically telling CJ what to do and what not to do. It's just a train wreck in Houston again. I am very upset about that. I really wanted the 3 Texas teams to be super competitive, and really only Arlington's doing that right now. I just, it's the Brahmas and then the other 2 Texas teams, and I don't care about none of the other teams. I hope all the rest of the teams lose every game because it's all about Texas, baby. So, anyways, with all that, I got on a little rant there. Sorry about that. I just think this is a no-brainer.
CJ, the players want more money. Give up your salary, man.
I might have to edit that out. I don't know. That's not a funny joke at all, dude. I don't even know why he said that.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to cut that out. Unfortunately, I think Houston doesn't stand a chance.
All right. Bad joke aside, last game. I'm going to let you go first and tell me why you picked St. Louis so I could come in here and backhand you on why the Brahmas are actually going to win this game.
All right. Well, better passing game, better running game, better O-line control, better D-line control. I just that's a lot of areas to fix. That's a lot of things to fix. They had more runners involved, more. I just think they did better. QB play settled in, was a little better. To correct all these areas and compete with St. Louis, I think they will correct these areas. I think they will have a very competitive season. I don't know if they can do it all in 1 week. St. Louis is already ahead, according to their play. Now, that being said,
here he goes. See?
That being said, it was against Houston. So how much of it was St. Louis being great and Houston being bad, or which one was it?
Did you factor that in your win-loss?
We're gonna find out. But as of right now, just based on the sample that we have so far, I'm gonna have to unfortunately go with St. Louis.
It's not a bad pick, but I'm going to tell you right now. Brahmas don't lose back-to-back games. Wade Phillips is still Wade Phillips. He's still son of bum. And something will change this week. And I'll tell you another thing. Every one of those players want to change something. The difference between winning and losing is just that much. So we're going to have another week of practice for Kellen Mond. And I think we're in the exact same position we were in last year, right? And the difference between winning and losing is, unfortunately, right on the shoulders of the quarterback. And I think this year we have the quarterback that's humble enough, going to put in the work, is accurate enough, and has the skills to win this game. I'm going to tell you, when they go back and watch the tape, and they see how many of those RPOs where Kellen Mond handed that ball off, how open he was if he'd pull it, I guarantee you he's going to pull 50% of those RPOs. He's going to pull 50% of those. If I was the coach right now, I'd say, I don't care if the edge defender is in the position that dictates you hand it off, you better pull 50% of those RPOs. That's what I'd be telling them. Pull them. Even if you pull them, right? That's what we got you for. And then getting another week of practice, we definitely saw potential with Jacob Harris on the outside. Kirkland wasn't even involved in the game. And I definitely think there's no way John Lovett is going to have the type of game he had this past week. I definitely think his passing yards is going to go up. And I'm also going to tell you another thing. If our wide receivers are not getting open, or Mond, even if they are open and Mond has the ability to get the ball to them, our tight end, Alizé Mack, went into the game with only one tight end, didn't get a single target. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Two running backs. You get two running backs. Get Lovett and McFarland both on the field at the same time. Put McFarland in motion, run the RPO with Lovett, whatever you got to do. Those two guys on the field with Harris and Kirkland, Justin Smith or Stevenson or whoever else you want to put out there, but get Kirkland, get Harris, and get both running backs on the field at the same time. That's the secret to scoring over 25 points. I'm not done. You already picked St. Louis. You had your chance. You be quiet.
No, I got a question for
you.
Then
the other thing I'm going to say is the defense. Our defense is going to step up. Our D-line didn't get any sacks, didn't get any pressures, and that is changing. And I'll tell you, the difference between Wilkins and Perez, the Brahmas know Wilkins is looking to run. They probably will spy him at least some of the game, and the linebackers will be keeping an eye on him, unlike Perez, where they were just trying to get to his spot. Now go ahead with your question.
Well, I agree. If I had to
now
have confidence... No. Hold on. I'm still picking St. Louis, but I do think that if there's one aspect of the game that will step up, that I have the greatest confidence in stepping up, I agree it's the defense. But I was going to ask you, you mentioned a lot of players there. One player you want more involved, you want to see more of. Who would you pick? Just one.
Look, man, the answer is simple. It doesn't matter who's more involved.
No,
I'm telling you, we're going to win or lose based upon one player.
I would.
And it's hard to say it's more involved because he touches the ball in every snap, and it's our quarterback. That's it. Everything else is irrelevant. Our quarterback,
I'm telling you,
Kellen Mond, is a secret to success.
He is, but he's already involved every snap, right? the player I want to see more involved is McFarland. His yards, his ability to break tackles, his speed.
Yes.
I want to see the ball in his hands much more often than it was in game one.
That is true. McFarland needs to be involved, but the defense will dictate who's more involved. You can't go into the game blindly saying, I'm going to give it to McFarland. Now, if it's a running game, run. Like if you were to say, get Lovett more involved, that's easy.
He was
run the
involved.
ball, run the ball.
McFarland was involved in the passing game too. So
that's not what I'm saying. The passing game is dictated by the defense.
Yes.
You can't say get McFarland involved more in the passing game because the defense is dictating where that ball's going. Yeah. So you got to read and react. If you want to say give Lovett more runs, you can force that, right? Yeah. But
Brahmas fans, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's right. I hope I'm wrong.
Dude, always against the Brahmas.
Let's get a win, but I'm feeling bad. I'm not feeling great about this St. Louis game.
This episode's already been too long. Producer picked against the Brahmas. I'm about to just smack him upside the head, but I got to do it off camera so I don't get charges pressed against me. Yeah. We're going to end it like we always do. Beat the hell out of St. Louis, and let's end it with a nice horns forward. Horns forward.
Forward.
Let's go Brahmas, baby.